Ready to go. Another 3 hours of broadcast excellence. Hosted and presided over by me. The all-knowing, all-caring, all-sensing, all-feeling, all-concerned Maharashi. Our telephone number is 800-282-2882. If you want to be on the program, the email address lrushmo@eibnet.com. Catherine went by Chick-fil-A yesterday afternoon after the program, and she just went in there, and she was like everybody else. She was stunned at the crowds. They were huge, and all of the political discussion going on inside the place. She said that's all anybody was talking about was politics. Amazing. Anyway, she bought some Chick-fil-A stuff. She brought it home. She brought it into the library. If that's for you and real into the library. And I sat down there at my desk, and we snapped a bunch of pictures and picked a couple of them and posted them at rushlimbaugh.com and put them on our Facebook page. If you're going to take a look at them. I'm too famous to go to a Chick-fil-A, so Catherine went in there and brought the stuff home away, posed for a picture. Eat it. Yeah, I ate it. Yeah. What? What do you mean? Yeah. The pictures are of me holding a chicken sandwich. I must admit was the first time that, I don't know why. I'm probably shouldn't say this, but I don't care. I thought Chick-fil-A was a grocery store. They've been co-sponsoring LPGA golf tournaments for years, and I thought Chick-fil-A was an Atlanta-based grocery chain. Up until 3 or 4 years ago. Then I found out that it was a fast food joint. Anyway, folk, the gay lesbian community not happy about what happened yesterday. The regime is not happy about what happened yet. Can you imagine if every one of you who went to Chick-fil-A put a Romney sign in your yard, what would happen? Can you imagine if every one of you who went to Chick-fil-A started working grassroots-wise with the Tea Party for Romney and for Republican candidates? Can you imagine what would, and did so in a visual way? Can you imagine what would happen? Now, I was reading our old buddy website today, newsbusters.org, and I don't know who at Newsbusters wrote this, but it is a piece about Sally Quinn, who is the on-faith blogger at the Washington Post. Sally Quinn, the ancient Sally Quinn, the wife of Benjamin Bradley, the editor-in-chief emeritus. She has come up with a suggestion that whoever wrote this at Newsbusters says is so bizarre that I would not blame you for casting aspersions upon the veracity of your humble correspondent until you read it for yourself. Again, I apologize. I don't know which correspondent at Newsbusters wrote this. Basically, Sally Quinn, well, I'd like to mention him. I just to give him a shout-out. Oh, speaking of shout-outs, over at the 5, by the way, this show has just cracked the top 5 of cable news shows, the 5 at 5 on Fox, and they gave me a 24th anniversary shout-out yesterday with Bob Beckel hissing in the background throughout the whole thing.
Personally want to shout out congratulations to Rush Limbaugh, a fantastic, great conservative voice. Today is his 24th year of EIB Network. The silent majority speaks, Rush. Congratulations, my good friend.
Congrats, Rush. 24 years. That's Bob making that noise in case anybody's wondering.
I'm sorry, not hissing. He's kissing. It was, and not me. He's mocking the other co-hosts at the 5. So I guess we know who the new Jack Germond is. Beckel. Anyway, thanks to the gang over at the 5. So PJ Gladnick is who wrote this for Newsbusters, and basically Sally Quinn is recommending that gays and lesbians infiltrate Chick-fil-A restaurants to the point where they become gay hangouts, to such an extent that even gay weddings would be performed there. This is what Sally Quinn is urging in her on-faith blog at the Washington Post. Now, if you think that recommendation's absurd beyond belief, you won't be alone. Her blog is filled with commenters whose reactions can best be described as, well, face in palm. You can't blame them after reading this from Sally Quinn. While Christians will be showing up at the restaurants in droves today, there's a movement afoot by the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation to stage kiss-ins in front of many outlets. Mayors of Washington, San Francisco, Boston, Chicago have expressed their outrage at the Chick-fil-A policy. What to do if you feel the same way? Well, a boycott's so cliched, and even the kiss-in doesn't really make the point. Gays and lesbians should start applying for jobs at Chick-fil-A. Get in there, become managers, take over their places. Gays could begin patronizing Chick-fil-A's, and I don't mean carry-out. Make the restaurants the gay hangouts of the community. Gay partners, married gays, could begin taking their children there. They can start having birthday parties for their kids. They can have gay pride events there. They even have events managers. Just call. They can even have gay weddings there. Sally Quinn is urging this on a blog at the Washington Post. They're beside themselves. How is Sally looking for a little action? I mean, I just wonder what's going on here. But this is what she's suggesting, and it's an indication of just how they were thrown for loops yesterday. This just wasn't supposed. See, you're not supposed to be reminded of numbers like this. And you're not supposed to be reminded of energy like this. This was, as much as anything, a huge realization of where momentum is in this country and where it isn't. And that, you're just not supposed to illustrate that. That's just not supposed to happen. But the hatred, I mean, the vile, disgusting hatred that comes from people on the left. Nobody at Chick-fil-A did anything to anybody yesterday. Nobody hurt anybody. Nobody raised anybody's taxes. Nobody said no, anybody couldn't do anything yesterday. Just went in there and patronized the place to show solidarity. And that's just God's people. So keep a sharp eye. Dingy Harry continues to smear Mitt Romney. Ann Coulter has a good column today. She points out, if I could summarize this real quick, she says the reason that they are making a beeline for Romney's tax records is because he's too straight-laced. He doesn't have a divorce that they can go look at. And she recounts the history of every Obama campaign. Every opponent had either divorce or custody records unsealed shortly before the election, which resulted in high embarrassment or even resignation of the opposition candidate. And her point is that Obama has never won an election straight up. Obama wins, other than the 2008 presidential election. What the playbook for the Obama campaign is to find out whatever dirt there is on your opponent and get it out there, have the help of the media, and have it be so embarrassing, whether it's true or not, have it be so embarrassing that it just destroys the candidacy, or in best instances, it forces the opponent to withdraw, which is what happened with a guy named Jack Ryan. Well, in Romney's case, there isn't any of that. There isn't a divorce, so there's not a divorce file. There isn't any a concentrated pile of what Obama and his team might be able to say was perversion, immorality, or so. They want these tax records. They want these tax records so it can lie about that. And they're doing everything they can to get them, including spreading the lie. And it's a lie because they can't prove the charge. But they're doing a Tom Foley on this. They are saying Romney didn't pay taxes for 10 years. They've got imaginary friends calling Harry Reid, just like imaginary friends used to call little Dick Gephardt. Imaginary friends calling Harry Reid from Bain Capital say, hey, Harry, Mitt didn't pay taxes for 10 years. Dingy Harry doesn't know who these guys are. He doesn't have proof. Stephanie Cutter doesn't have proof. But they're out there claiming that Romney didn't pay taxes for 10 years. And what they're trying to do is pressure Romney into releasing these tax returns. They don't care what's in them. It doesn't matter. Once they get 10 years of tax records, or 5 years, in 5 years of tax records, with a tax return that would probably be fairly complicated compared to your average 1040 filer, they'll be able to point to something in there that will make the uninformed class think, well, that's outrageous. How in the world did he pull that off? Oh, this guy's a tax cheat, Myrtle. How in the world can we vote for a guy like that? Something like that is their objective. Doesn't have to be true. All it has to do is be complicated. All it has to do is be unusual. All it has to have is something in there that is not quite common with your average 1040 filer. And they're trying to put... Now, Romney knows that that's what they're doing. And that's why he's saying he's not going to do it. And he better hold to that. He'd better hold to it because this pressure is going to mount. Let's go to the audio sound bites. It's set 24. This is Dingy Harry. This is a grotesque, as I said yesterday, little man. A vile little man. And he went to the floor of the Senate today during the majority leader's remarks. And this is a portion of what he said.
If a person coming before this body wanted to be a cabinet officer, he couldn't be if he did the same refusal Mitt Romney does about tax returns. So the word's out that he hasn't paid any taxes for 10 years. Let him prove that he has paid taxes, because he hasn't.
There's no evidence that he hasn't paid any taxes. This is no different than in 1988. And I've mentioned this to you before. 1988, some guy at Columbia, Gary Sick, wrote a book. In the book was the allegation that George W. Bush, H.W. Bush, had gone to Paris under cover of darkness, met with the Iranians, and struck a deal with them to make sure the hostages, the American hostages, were not released before the election. Now, Tom Foley said there is no evidence, but the seriousness of the charge requires that we investigate this, as is all the Democrats are doing now. It's the same page out of the playbook. So the word's out that he hasn't paid any taxes for 10 years. Let him prove that he has. So what we have here, we have Harry Reid saying he hadn't paid taxes in 10 years. Yeah, where's your evidence? Well, I don't have the evidence. He's got to prove it. Well, who's telling you he hadn't paid taxes? Well, I had a couple people that used to work at Bay. Well, how do they know? Well, I don't know. I'm just telling you. He hadn't paid taxes in 10 years. It's up to him to prove it. Let him prove that he paid his taxes, because he hasn't. All this is a tightening of the ratchet, trying to get Romney to release the records, because all they want is to be able to employ the usual David Axelrod, Barack Obama plan of going through the documents, whatever they are, making up a bunch of stuff about them, and trying to get Romney out of the race. That's all. Here's Eric Fernstrom. He is a Romney advisor. And this morning on Fox News American Newsroom, Bill Hemmer interviewed him, said, this Harry Reid, played the soundbite. I mean, there's obviously something behind his comments. To drill this out every day, grab headlines. What's behind this, Eric?
This reminds me of the McCarthy hearings back in the 1950s, and it was another son from Massachusetts then, Joseph Welch, who finally asked the question that should be asked of Harry Reid, which is, have you no sense of decency, sir? Is there nothing that you won't do in the name of dirty politics? And I think it's just shameful, and of course it's directly contrary to the new kind of politics that Barack Obama promised the country 4 years ago.
Yeah, right on. But I don't know that that's going to be too effective. Why, they said they were going to unify the country. Has he no shame? No, he doesn't have any shame. We're talking about a despicable human being here. Harry Reid have any shame? I think he drew the short straw on this. They probably signed this to somebody, and Harry got the short straw. They sat around. Somebody's going to take this public. Romney hadn't paid his tax. It's Harry, it's your turn. Oh, I don't. Harry, it's your turn. You got to do it. You're going to take one for the team. And it's entirely possible that Harry didn't have to have this assigned, that he was just willing to do it on his own. It's very typical. But that's what this is about. Let's take a brief time out. Unemployment news is up. It's Unemployment Thursday. Unemployment's up. And we're back now to unexpectedly. Yes, trying to make me happy. Maybe it's an anniversary gift from Reuters to put the word back in the report.
Rated